Welcome to Tech Startup Stories, hosted by Natalie Binns. This is the podcast that takes you behind the scenes of the B2B startup world.
Hi, I'm Natalie Binns, and after many years as a marketing leader in the B2B SaaS industry, I set up Hey Gabby to support startups and scale-ups with their go-to-market and growth needs. I work with so many great founders, and that's led me to want to hear their stories and share them with others. And that's why I set up this podcast. So let's get into this week's podcast. Hi, everyone. Welcome to this week's podcast. This week, I'm speaking with João Cabral, and he is the founder and CEO of Nexum Pensions. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Natalie.
I'm really glad to have you on the show because I know that you have been building this business. You've been doing this for a little while now, and I'd love to hear your story as to how you went from being an employee to being a founder.
Of course. So I think it all started at my previous employer. So I worked as a product manager for a company called Octopus Money. And at the time I was building our pension proposition. And in the course of my work of developing that proposition, I encountered a problem, which I thought just it needed to be solved. But the more I dug into the problem, I understood that it could not be solved from within my previous employer. It would have to be a separate entity in order to serve the clients, solve the problem for the clients, but as well for pension providers. And then just that's how it got started. Luckily, I presented the idea back to my employer, and they liked it to the point that they invested some money in getting this business set up. So they're now kind of the biggest shareholder. And now we're at it, building the business.
That must be such a journey and must feel good to know that they trusted you well enough to put their money where their mouth was and invest in the business.
It was a bit frightening at the beginning because I would go and I went on to pitch the board, but pitch the deck to the different leaders of the divisions up until the CEO of the group, who gave kind of the final sign off. But yeah, then I think the biggest emotional challenge for me it was immediately after I got they said yes, because that's when kind of the penny dropped on me that it was really happening. I was really leaving my safe employment, and I was really going to have to give it a go of building this thing that I've just had on a pitch deck and sold to a bunch of people. And that was a very emotional day. I can remember.
I can imagine. And it is a safe environment to be an employee. Not always, obviously, with layoffs in certain companies. And, sometimes the market can be challenging. But to go from knowing that you've got X number of holiday days a year, you've got these benefits, you've got people around you to support you, to then suddenly kind of going it alone, that is a huge leap of faith. Did you always want to be a founder, or is this just kind of snuck up on you?
I don't think I've always or ever wanted to be a founder. What I think I've always wanted to do was to build something that solved the problem, to build something that was really innovative. So I'm originally from Lisbon, Portugal. And while in university, 10, 13, 15 years ago, I saw the launch of Uber at the time, and I was amazed in Lisbon. They're just making use of these idle assets that are cars and people, and just getting more use out of them. So it got me thinking, and what other idle assets are there in society that we could leverage? And at that time, I had a really poor experience with a delivery company, a food delivery company. And I thought, oh, why not just do the same thing as Uber, but for food? We have people running around with their wraps and deliver food for you. And and later on, I found out that there was a company in the UK called Deliveroo. But I tried to do that. I was very young. I was 18 in university. Tried to pitch into some startup contest. But then eventually, kind of just put the idea to the side. Finished my degree. But I think that was responding to your original question. I always thought I wanted to build something, and I think that's where I get the most joy in my day to day, when I'm presented kind of with the problems and I need to build a product and the solution for it. So I think that's what kind of motivates me more, is just creating something out of thin air, and now it exists and people and sees it.
Absolutely. And so tell us a little bit more about this problem that you've solved or you're solving.
Of course, the problem is quite well known in the United Kingdom. So, in the United Kingdom, we have this thing called auto enrollment. It's a really good thing we have, and it was introduced, I think, back in 2012. Essentially, when everyone starts a new employment, their employer will auto enroll them to a pension provider, and they'll start taking a little bit of money out of your paycheck. They'll put a bit of money themselves as well, and every month they'll send money to your pension. This is great. Up until that point, people were not engaged with their personal finances. People were not saving enough. So the introduction of auto enrollment brought a big positive, net positive to the UK society as a whole. But what happens is that with each employment that you have, you collect a different pot. So your new employer will open a new pension for you. Your second employer or third employer will open a new pension. And what happens is that people, as they go throughout their careers, they accumulate these different pots. And what might happen is that people simply that do not engage with their pensions, and they might lose track of them, not know where they are, or perhaps they know, but then they have to manage 5, 6 different logins. Uh, Pensions are invested in different ways, so different pensions will get you different returns. And obviously, then people members are not getting economies of scale. So it just becomes a big hassle to have all these pensions. Obviously, people can transfer, and that's what the current solution to the problem. Um, but if you Google a bit about pension transfers and the problems with it, you'll see a couple of horror stories. People waiting 2 or 3 months for the pension transfers to complete. To the point that the pension provider has a different address, and they'll block the transfer. Um, and so even though there is a solution to that problem, it requires a lot of effort for people to consolidate their pensions, right? Uh, and the other trend that's happening to the market, so that's kind of where we are. But the new trend that's happening in the market is that people are now getting more engaged. The people are trying to consolidate. More people are taking up financial advisors or financial coaches, engaging with new digital propositions. For example, Monzo launched their pension proposition. We have Nutmeg, Moneybucks, all these apps have launched their pension propositions, Pensionly, and I believe there have been net positive because they have forced and triggered people to engage with their pension. So people have started to consolidate. But the problem persists, which is when I start my next job, I will get a new pot created by my employer, even though I've already picked a pension provider with whom I wanted to work. And if you really think about it, this doesn't make a lot of sense because we do not go through life accumulating different bank accounts, right? We have one bank account that we want to work with. And when we start our employment, we just tell our employer, hey, can you pay your semi-salary to this bank account? I am not forced to have a bank account with the preferred bank of my new employer. And although that doesn't happen what happens with our salary, that happens with pensions, and that doesn't really work. So the vision that I have is for people that are now engaged with their pensions, they can simply just arrive at their new employment and tell their employer, hey, no need to open a new pension for me. I actually already have this pension that I like, that I work with. Can you please just pay my pension contributions to that pension? And the employer just gives a thumbs up and say, yeah, we'll help you doing that. We'll help you to do that.
Wow, that is a problem that I know so many people, including myself, that have faced those challenges. And what a solution. Honestly, I think, if you've been in business for any length of time, you've worked for more than, 2 or 3 companies, which, if you're sort of in your 30s, you may have done. If you're in your 40s, you definitely have. You're bound to have these challenges. And it is such a pain to consolidate the pots. So I completely understand. So you're selling into the pension providers, the HR departments of the companies. How does that work?
Well, actually both. Uh, so if we think first from the employer side, so the someone that runs benefits for a company, whenever they review benefits, they think about their pension contributions. Are we contributing this sufficient amount? Should we contribute a bit extra for our employees? Or perhaps they'll review the default provider that they have. But if you speak with employees, some of them will already tell you, no, actually, what I would want is to send my money to my existing pension that I have. So what we created is a proposition, a product that allows the employers to do just that. So if an employee would like to send money to a different pension, we've created a product that integrates simply with the existing payroll process that an employer might have, and the employer can also send contributions to a different pension. If an employer would try to do this by themselves, it would mean that employer would have, for example, to engage with a couple of different pension providers, depending on the number of the different pensions that the employees have asked to contribute. Each one will have their own process, their own way of working with them, but also that you'll probably have different payment arrangement. I think a direct debit per employee, and that sort of just having 10 different processes to an already very complicated payroll process doesn't really cut it for employers. So employers wouldn't do that. What we offer is just one system, one entity, which is Nexum, with whom employers interact with, and then they, through us, can pay to multiple different pensions. So they just submit their contributions to us, and then we spread out those contributions to the different pension providers that we work with. And then we provide them just a one way to make one payment, which then kind of splits the money to all the different pension providers. Employers then can just offer this as a benefit if they wish, and can support their employees' well-being and financial well-being.
So it sounds like you're solving the problem for the pension providers in giving them the ability to build a better relationship with their existing members, but also from an employer's perspective, from an HR perspective, helping them retain and attract great talent. I think often when you join an organization, it's probably a real mix of people that when they hear pensions, they yawn and just kind of see it as, oh, it's a tick box, I have to do that. And then other people that are actively engaged that are, ask lots more questions and really want to dig in. So interesting stuff. So in terms of being, a product guy, you had this great idea. How did you then put that into practice? I know that you mentioned that you pitched that internally, you got sign off, you got funding, and then you're suddenly on your own building Nexum. How did you then go about building the platform?
So luckily, just due to my career experience, I have both the knowledge of how pension systems work, about how payroll systems work, and also had the kind of the expertise to build these myself. So actually, I built the system myself. Used a couple of different database services, API connectors, and so on, and yeah, just built it myself. The good thing with my employer also supporting me is that it meant we could tax run this in house. My previous employer, they have a couple of different companies. It's a group of companies, so they have different companies in house, but they also run a pension themselves. So they have a personal pension business, which meant we were able to run things in a manual way in the beginning, test it with some employees, iterate, change things so it would adapt to the payroll person that was running payments to the employees. And now we have kind of a really good thing running internally, and we're looking now to grow.
Got it. And so with that, you've obviously had that opportunity to test things. And obviously the next stage has been going out to market, and find new customers and kind of reaching that approach. What's been your go-to-market strategy?
Uh, my go-to-market strategy, it's just been partnering with it's with the existing pensions that I work. Uh, they sometimes have relationships with some other employers, so they'll kind of help me in make introductions. But others, it's just been us going direct to employers where this benefit could make a difference to their employee base. Anything from reaching out through LinkedIn, email marketing, your traditional, let's say, account-based marketing.
Got it. Got it. And in terms of your long-term vision for the company, where do you see this going?
Ah, uh, do you know a company called UK Power Network?
Yeah.
A power company. So essentially, the way electricity works in the UK, and I'll make this metaphor, this comparison, is that you have all these brands that sell you electricity. Brands like Octopus Energy, BT, I think even Talk Talk sells you energy. But they are a brand. They serve you. They sell you energy. But in the back, you have a couple of different companies like UK Power Network, who just power the movement of uh, electricity from providers to your home. So my vision is to be the UK power network of pensions, where there are tons of pensions, not tons, but it's a good amount of number of pensions in the UK that members use, with whom they trust their own savings, and we're just this service in the back powering up payments, the majority of payments in the UK from employers directly to all the different pension providers. So that's the big vision.
Great, fantastic. And with your sort of newfound role as a founder going from an employee, what things do you do to kind of learn more, network, and kind of build more of your own kind of knowledge base on being that founder and accessing, what it takes to be a founder?
Well, uh, on that front, I perhaps should be doing more than I am actually currently. Uh, Kind of have the basics of just following people on LinkedIn that write about it, thought leaders, and then just from time to time, I like to try to attend different events that are geared towards that topic, and books. So I've received some book recommendations, I read, and some blog posts. So cannot say I go very deeply into that. I imagine others do that will probably do much more than I do, but it's something that definitely I should be looking more.
Got it. And in terms of the change from being an employee to a founder, what's been the biggest surprise for you?
Uh, well, the surprise or not a surprise, but a kind of a negative point that I've had so far was that now I'm on my own. We started as one, now the team is growing. There's more, but I at the beginning I really missed the camaraderie at the office. Arriving at the office, asking everyone how was the weekend, uh, jokes here and then. Maybe we go for some drinks after work. Um, and that was kind of the main thing. I think the social aspect of work, which I'm the kind of person that really enjoys that, being in a team, working with people you get along with. Um, and then in terms maybe of the actual work, uh, is that there isn't anyone that you can leverage or you can ask for their expertise, right? If you work in a established company, there are many people in your team and other teams that have knowledge in a certain domain that you can leverage their expertise or ask to contribute. Whereas here, it's not the case. Now things are different. We're growing. Uh, but again, right at the beginning, it was just me trying to put things that I have on a slide into a spreadsheet, then to some diagrams, and then to try to make it a real product that will work. The other challenge I actually have faced was when looking for suppliers. Uh, there are a lot of suppliers that will only take you if you provide them a certain amount of business, a monthly volume of business. So although there are really good suppliers out there that have products that could help me with my business, and I don't have, at least at this time, sufficient volume, or at the beginning when I'm starting out, I have zero volume of business uh, to bring them. So it was quite a challenge and a lot of turndowns from suppliers who I thought I would be working with, because there was kind of I actually had even worked with them previously at my company, but at that time at my company, my former employer, that volume existed. So um, it's been hard to find the right suppliers to help me.
I feel like you're gonna have that pretty woman moment where you're gonna be going back to them and telling them, "Big mistake, huge," when the company's grown big enough, and then you'll turn them away when they're knocking on your door.
No, hopefully no. Hopefully no. Hopefully they'll at least come with a good offer can compare to the setup at the.
So you mentioned you love that office environment. What are your plans in terms of building the team with Nexum? Are you going to have an office? Are you going to be remote?
Um, Great question. bit up in the air. Uh, what what I'm intending to is remote, but with a quarterly catch-ups. So, as in, for example, remote, and then a week in London, where the whole team meets, review the quarter has just passed, plan for the next quarter, what are our goals, and then just repeat. Again, I have no experience in terms of knowing that if this might work or not. But I've seen some companies, a company that I follow, it's a payroll company called Captain, and I believe they have a similar setup in the sense that they are remote, but they organize these quarterly in person. So that's what I'm tending towards.
And you're all remote at the moment, aren't you?
All fully remote. Luckily, our kind of main backer allows us to use some of their facilities. So whenever I'm in London, I can leverage some of their office space. Um, so yeah, so that's kind of current setup. We'll then work towards the one that I just made.
Got it. So what sort of a culture are you building with the company?
Great question. Again, perhaps not one of those things that I've given sufficient thought just yet. Perhaps due to the stage that the company is in, but definitely need to. I at least the way I like to work, or I prefer to work with former managers and colleagues, is transparency and just being direct. Which sometimes I may have been accused of being too direct uh, in working relationships. But if you do it in such a way, you you don't do it for the sake of being direct. You're doing it because I just want to get information across faster, with the purpose of improving the business and improving the. And so definitely, I think those would be two things that I would like to instill and have in the culture of the company. And perhaps then the second one would just be, I don't know if it even is a word, but inventiveness. Uh, just to think what can you invent to solve problems? Like, because what we're doing now is we've just invented something to solve a problem that whenever I speak with someone, they think it's the status quo, right? And whenever I tell them about the solution, the first thing, oh, why didn't anyone thought about it that before? It seems so simple. Uh, Always not knowing then at face value, it looks very simple. But then in the back, connecting to all these different systems, all these payroll systems, pension systems, there's a lot of heavy lifting work. But yeah, I would say those are the two things that are in my mind that I would like people to share in the culture.
That totally makes sense. I think that desire for having a team that are open and sharing ideas and also having that innovative mindset of coming up with, new solutions to perhaps longer term problems is great. So what would you share with your former self back when you were an employee in terms of advice? If you were to kind of give yourself advice on how to go about building this startup from the beginning?
Great question. Speak with more people more often, I would say, because in the beginning you might get on to building mode right away, because particularly people who are your partners and or kind of you're leveraging them as well in your final product, your final service. Uh, but also if you are like we are in a kind of a B2B2C business where we kind of provide a service for others to distribute to their clients or employees. It's really important to have those, to be on top of those relationships happening in their businesses, and just kind of remind them that we're here and we're here to help them. So more conversations with more people right from the beginning, and don't just assume someone remembers you or what is it that you're doing, because they themselves are kind of are running a business or focusing on their day-to-day job, and we're just a fraction of their priorities in the things that they're thinking about. They have many other things to worry about, not just me, my business in relation to what they do.
Excellent. So, what does the next 12 months look like for Nexum Pensions?
And growth, growth. That's what we want. We want to help more employers. We want to help more pensions, and ultimately, we want to support more pension members on just simplifying their pension life, being able to contribute to the pension they want.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for your time today, Joe. It's been an absolute pleasure speaking with you.
Thank you very much, Natalie. It was lovely to be here and to be able to share my story. with you.
That's it for this episode of Tech Startup Stories. Have a story you'd like us to share or a topic you'd want to cover? Reach out and we'd love to hear from you. Until next time, take care.